Your customers have tickets from Frankfurt to Johannesburg with Lufthansa, and now they want to change their outbound travel date to 2 days later. First, display the e-ticket records of both passengers. Check that the tickets are still valid. They must have either an O or A status. To display the e-ticket record of passenger 1, enter TWD/L7. To display the e-ticket record of passenger 2, enter TWD/L8. Take note of the booking class and fare basis. Next, check the fare rules to make sure that the rules allow changes and to see if a penalty is to be collected. Split your screen horizontally or vertically. On the other side of the screen, request a fare display. Enter FQD, the outbound sector, /D and the departure date, /A with the airline code, /C with the booking class, /R, the date the ticket was issued. In the fare display request, specify the travel and ticketing dates to display fares that applied when the ticket was purchased. Optionally, you can add a booking class code and hide the airline list in text messages. So you can always put /IL onto the end as well. To display the penalty section of the required fare, enter FQN1 *PE. You may need to move down to view the changes. The tickets are changeable at any time against a €150 fee. You also need to verify other conditions, such as the type of changes that are allowed, the fare that will be applied, and so on. If a different fare basis is on the ticket, you need to verify the fare conditions of each fare. Stricter rules might apply. Now, if euros is not your local currency amount, this will need to be converted to be in your local currency. Enter FQC 150 EUR / the currency of your local country. We're going to be selecting the rounded as fares amount of AUD 245. If the past date pricing option is authorized in your Office ID, instead of displaying fares, you can price the itinerary. Enter FXX/R, 15 May 24. You must add the past date pricing option to display fares that were applied when the ticket was purchased. You can use additional pricing options, for example, FXX/R, the date the ticket was issued, UP, if required. To display the ticket image, enter FQQ1. Then display the fare conditions with the entry FQN1 *PE. And again, you may need to move down to view the change information. If a different fare basis is displayed in the ticket image, check the fare conditions for each fare component. Enter FQN 1-1 *PE, or FQN 1-2 *PE, and so on. After you have checked the ticket validity and the fare rules, change the itinerary. Retrieve the PNR. To rebook your customer's outbound flight to the same flight number in 2 days' time, enter SB, followed by the new travel date and segment number. Imagine that the seats in V class are no longer available. You receive the message, "Rebook rejected, segment not available," followed by an availability display. To book a higher class for this segment, enter SB, a new booking class, the new travel date, and the segment number. To rebook flights, you can always refer to the availability or schedule display. Add the received from element if it is mandatory in your office ID. And then save and retrieve the PNR by adding *ER. An e-ticket must be reissued if revalidation is not permitted by the fare rules, you changed a routing, an airline or a booking class, and a new fare and taxes differ from the fare and taxes in the original ticket. Now you need to create a new TST. When a reissue takes place before departure, the fastest way to create a new TST is by pricing the new itinerary instead of manually updating the old TST. First, delete the old TST. Enter TTE. If several TSTs exist, you would select the TST number to be deleted. For example, TTE/T1. To delete all TSTs at the same time, enter TTE/all. The fare conditions state, if changes are made to first ticketed flight coupon of a totally unused ticket, the fares in effect at time of rebooking or reissue will apply. Next, price the new itinerary. Enter FXP without the pass date information. You can use additional pricing options, for example, /R, UP, if required. After this, you need to compare the prices. Split your screen to see the new TST and e-ticket record at the same time. On one side of the screen, enter TQT. On the other side of the screen, enter TWD with the line number of one of the tickets. Compare the new fare with the fare on the ticket and calculate the difference. In this particular circumstance, I am looking at the equivalent amount of the fare. The new fare is higher than the fare on the ticket. To display taxes, enter TWD/tax. Compare the new taxes with the taxes on the ticket and calculate the difference. The taxes are even. You must collect the difference. We have an additional collection, usually referred to as an ADC. Now prepare the TST for reissue. To update the TST fields, use the TTK command. This command lets you independently update the TST elements. First, set the TST to reissue mode. Enter TTK/EXDH. If you need to set more than one TST to reissue mode, you must specify the number of the TST. For example, TTK/EXDH/T2. When you set a TST to reissue mode, the fare calculation pricing indicator changes to M, manual TST. The fare issue identifier, in this case, changes from F, first issue, to R, reissue. The tax indicator changes from X, new taxes, to O, old taxes. The total amount changes to 0. The form of payment changes to O, old. Next, if the not valid after field is empty, enter TTK/V as the validity identifier and XX to indicate that the not valid before field must remain empty. Then enter the not valid after date. The not valid after field must be updated to indicate that the ticket validity does not extend for more than 1 year from the original ticket issue date. To know how long the ticket is valid, you might need to refer to the fare display and check the max field. If there's no change in tax, you can use the TTK command to update only the total field. Enter TTK/T as the total amount field indicator, followed by the 3-letter currency code and the total amount. To update a specific TST in a PNR with multiple TSTs, add the TST number to your entry. For example, TTK/T2/T841. When you specify a TST code in the entry to update the total amount, the currency code is not mandatory. If some of the new taxes are higher than the old taxes, and if you must collect the change penalty as a tax, you need to update the taxes. For example, the old YQ tax is 150 and the new YQ tax is 200. The difference is 50. Enter TTK// followed by the tax number on the ticket. For example, X1 for tax 1 and a dash. Then enter the old tax identifier O, followed by the tax amount from the ticket and its code. Next, enter a slash, followed by the new tax identifier X, the difference between the tax amount in the ticket and in the TST, and its code. Finally, enter /T and the total amount. To add the penalty fee of 245 Australian dollars, you would enter it as TTK/X as the new tax identifier, followed by the penalty amount and the tax code. Then enter /T, followed by the total amount, if this is your currency. Now the TST is up to date. Retrieve the PNR. To reissue a ticket, you must add FO lines. To create the FO line for passenger 1, enter FO star, L as the line identifier, followed by the line number of the first passenger ticket. Then enter /P1. To add it to the PNR, press enter. Then create the FO line for passenger 2. Enter FO star L8/P2. Next, update the form of payment to show how the original ticket was paid for. Then provide a new form of payment to collect the additional amount. You have two options to do this. You can update the FP element by entering the FP line number, followed by /+/ and the new form of payment. Or you can remove the FP element with entry XE15. Then add the FP element. Enter FPO /, followed by the old form of payment and a plus. Then enter a /, followed by the new form of payment. If a form of payment was associated to the segments when you deleted the TST, it is also deleted. You need to add the old and a new form of payment. For example, FPO /CCVI plus if the original ticket was paid for by a Visa credit card, /cash if that is how they are paying for the remaining balance. If required, update or add the different forms of payment for each passenger. Save your booking if required. You can reissue the tickets now, or you can reissue the tickets later with the EMD. Only one ticket can be reissued at a time. You need to specify the passenger or TST number to reissue the tickets in this PNR. To reissue the ticket for passenger 1, enter TTP/RT/P1 or TTP/T2/RT. Then reissue the ticket for passenger 2. Enter TTP/RT/P2. Retrieve the PNR. If you want to verify the reissued ticket records, enter TWD/L followed by the FA line number. To display the old ticket record from the new ticket record, enter TWD/O star. If you have to collect a penalty fee with an EMD, you need to add auxiliary service segments for each passenger and create TSMs. Before you enter the auxiliary service segment, verify which service code to use and what information must be present in the auxiliary service segment and in the TSM. Enter EGSD/V and the 2-character airline code. The service code is PENF for the rebooking fee. Now let's display the detailed information on the penalty fee. Enter EGSD/L16. You may need to move down to view the rest of the information. It's mandatory to add a location code in the auxiliary service segment and enter a ticket number in the TSM. Let's add the auxiliary service segments for each passenger in one entry. Enter IU, LH, NN1, PENF, FRA/P12. An auxiliary service segment must always be added with an NN action code. It can be associated to one passenger only. Next, create the TSMs. Enter TMC/VLH. 2 TSMs will be created. If there are several auxiliary service or special service request segments, specify the line number in the entry. For example, TMC/L4/VLH. To create a TSM for an infant passenger, you also need to specify the passenger type code. For example, TMC/L7/INF/VLH. Now add the required information in your TSMs. You can update each TSM individually or all at the same time. Let's start with the mandatory fields. To issue an EMD, you must add a coupon value and fare. This must be added in the currency of the TST total, in this case AUD. To update all TSMs, enter TMI/all/CV as the coupon value identifier followed by a dash, and then the coupon value. Then enter /F as the fare identifier followed by the fare of also $2.45. If the tickets have already been reissued, as in this case, you must add the issued in connection with ticket number. So we're going to open up the split and we're going to retrieve the PNR. To update TSM1, you would enter TMI/M1/IC-TKT. So you can either type the ticket number that you see on the right-hand side, or you can copy and paste it but just make sure that the TSM you're updating belongs to the correct passenger number. Then repeat the same step for TSM number 2. If required, you can add trip indicator TMI/all/YI for an international trip or TMI/all/YD for a domestic trip. You can enter the present to and present at information. Enter TMI/all/D and then the airline you're presenting it to, /A and where it is going to be presented at. Finally, add a form of payment. Both passengers are paying in cash. Enter TMI/all/FP-cash. Now you can issue your EMDs. Make sure you save your booking first if that's required in your office ID. To issue all EMDs at the same time, enter TTM/RT. To issue the EMDs one by one, enter TTM/M1/RT. And then TTM/M2/RT. You can also issue the tickets and EMDs at the same time. Enter TTP/TTM/RT/P1. You would then repeat the command for each passenger. Retrieve your PNR. In this PNR, to display an EMD record, you must specify the FA line. For example, you would enter EWD/L12. When you issue tickets and EMDs at the same time, the In Connection With field is automatically added. Great! You've just reissued the tickets and collected penalty fees for 2 passengers. Ignore the PNR. Enter IG.